Good evening, my name is John Prebish. This is my business intelligence and practice presentation. I'm going to do it on, it's actually my company, but I'm doing it doing it on a company that I'm calling Natural Gas Transmission Inc. It's a generic name for my company because my management didn't want me to use my specific name for this type of report. Kind of get right into it. My first trial of this was a little long, so I'm going to go through a little quickly, but just a quick profile in terms of natural gas. I'm guessing a lot of you guys aren't familiar with the natural gas industry, but here's some basic stats. We operate 19,100 miles of transition pipe in the U.S., 3,500 miles of transition pipe in Canada, and we have a storage of 305 billion cubic feet, about 5,500 employees. Data warehouses. This is a big deal with what we're doing. We're constantly keeping track of stats in terms of the physical attributes of the pipe, how we test the pipe, and the different kind of attributes, if you'll call them, for our stress testing of the pipe. Different population around the pipe. Population is a big thing with compliance in terms of making sure that the pipelines are operating safely. The right-of-way for pipelines we'll get to in a second, and environmental, state and federal compliance. It's a big thing if you've noticed things in the industry lately in terms of national news. The industry had a few pretty high-profile failures, and that's obviously a big thing with the compliance industry and things like that. So, physical attributes that you're trying to keep track of, it's outside diameter. We use this very high sophisticated demonstration, but outside diameter is what it sounds like. It's the outside diameter of the pipe. It's going to be 24 inch, 36 inch, 12 inch, this kind of thing. Wall thickness, it's the actual wall thickness. Grade is essentially the strength of the pipe, if you will, in terms of how much pressure you can put on that pipe before it starts to yield. That's obviously a very important consideration you want to know. Longitudinal weld, if this is your pipe running this way, longitudinal weld would be the seam that goes down the long side of the pipe. In this case, it would be a spiral longitudinal weld, which exists. Girth weld, it's kind of what it looks like. Two pieces of pipe, put it around. You're keeping track of the type of weld that we use to connect those two pieces of pipe. Manufacture of the pipe can be important for certain departments in the company in terms of knowing who made the pipe, to know their characteristics of chemistry and things like that. Metallurgy. Stress test. It's obviously very important for us to test our pipes. We got to make sure that they're safe. How we usually do this is we basically pump them up full of water. We call this a hydrostatic test. We bring that up to a certain pressure depending on what we need it to be, what the characteristics of the pipe can handle, but we need to know the type of the test, whether it was done in construction or whether it was done pre-construction. We need to know how long it was to be compliant. We usually have to hold that test for at least 8 hours. Test pressure, we ought to know how high we brought that test pressure up to. Typically, well actually all the time, we're going to test at a certain level above what we intend to operate it at. That's important to know that difference, because for compliance reasons, there are certain regulations that dictate how much that difference actually is based on population, type of pipe, and this type of thing. We kind of want to know when the test actually occurred. And then elevations, real simply in terms of physics, if you have a pipeline running up a hill and you're testing the pressure here, this pipe pressure up here, based on gravity, is going to be a little bit less because it has to push up the hill. So we got to know these types of things so we know every inch of our pipe and what pressures it's experienced and know that it's operating safely. We also have other recorded data in terms of the surrounding population for compliance. Our right-of-way, we need to know if any encroachments of structures onto the right-of-way. We got to keep a careful, close eye on that. Some people don't even know a pipeline's there, so it's our job to monitor that area of land that we call our right-of-way for our pipe. Environmental impact and monitoring, we've got to know if we have a small leak or something like that and suddenly it's infecting the environment, we got to know about that. We got to know about it pretty quickly. Having a strong data warehouse and using strong business intelligence tools can help us identify those areas really fast. Obviously compliance, again, regulatory compliance, it drives the industry. It is the big brother in the room. Maintenance activities. Pipes don't last forever. We got to know where we have small anomalies, where the wall thickness is shrinking, things like that, so we can go out and actually do pipe replacements to ensure that our pipelines are constantly being monitored and they're going to be safe for operation. How we use business intelligence. Compliance is a big deal. We've talked about it already 3 or 4 times. How they do this is very much in terms of reports, and you're correlating a lot of different data in terms of data for physical attributes, data for our hydrostatic tests, and data for population. You're kind of pulling that all into certain formats and things like that, and our business intelligence tools and data warehouse allow us to do that. We do compare our stress to the pipe. We compare operating pressure to the type of pipe. That's a key thing. Operating pressure to the stress test. Operating pressure is a big deal. In pipeline industry, the higher your pressure is, the more natural gas you can push or transport through your pipeline. The more natural gas you push through your pipeline, the more you can sell, the more revenue, etc. Obviously, that is what is the lifeblood of the company. So operating pressures are a very big deal in making sure we're maximizing our pressures while staying in compliance. It's sort of a give and take, a check and balances for how we operate our pipeline. Knowing compliance gaps and being able to identify them and take care of them quickly is very good for our regulatory reasons, which I'll get to in a second. And then, of course, geographic location. We use a GIS system, a geographic information system, which helps us identify exactly physically where a pipe is on the geographic layout. We use flyby photography that gives us a picture of the kind of context of where our pipelines are running in terms of what could be affecting our compliance issues. Ultimately, the biggest answer here in this how NGTI uses business intelligence is the ability to make better, faster business decisions on the operating pressures. We just talked about operating pressures being the lifeblood of the company in terms of driving revenue. Absolutely vital. If we have a drop in our pressures, it costs the company millions of dollars. So being able to make quicker decisions in terms of when we have to drop the pressures for compliance reasons, resolving that compliance issue very quickly, getting our pressures back up to our optimal levels is very key in terms of beating our competitors out for that. And so quicker decisions is obviously the most important thing in terms of using business intelligence. And then you have the same data source is being used by multiple different departments. You could have the field, the construction guys accessing the data, our compliance department accessing the data, the pipeline integrity, ensuring the safety of the pipeline, environmental is accessing a number of different departments accessing the same type of data, the same source. We're all looking at the same data rather than looking at silos. So compliance doesn't hold their data, pipeline integrity doesn't hold their, the field doesn't hold their set of data, and we're all looking at different sets of data. That's bad news in the pipeline industry. So the data warehouse is extremely key for our business intelligence operation.